This is Radio Nepal. I'm Dela Prasai with the news. The headlines first. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda clarifies that decision on providing money to former combatants was decided 9 years back with approval of Nepali Congress and CPN-UML. Rashtriya Swatantra Party nominates Rabi Lamichhane as party's parliamentary leader. Prithvi Highway obstructed after problems surface in a breach along the highway. Tatopani transit point at Nepal-China border in Sindhupalchok comes into a full operation. And U.S. claims that more than 20,000 Russian soldiers have been killed in fighting in Ukraine since December. Now the news in detail. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda has said that decision regarding distribution of money to former Maoist combatants was held in 2071 Bikram Sambat. Similarly, the Prime Minister informed that agreement to this effect had been held with Nepali Congress and CPN-UML. Prime Minister Dahal said this at a Prime Minister of a Journalist program organised by Press Centre Nepal, Chitwan in the district yesterday. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda has also expressed his confidence that the Rashtriya Swatantra Party would join the government under his leadership. The head of the government shared that discussion was being held to include Rashtriya Swatantra Party in the government. Prime Minister Dahal stated that ruling coalition would reach to a consensus after discussion, clarifying that they have, however, not reached to a position to leave the ministries demanded by the Rashtriya Swatantra Party. He also claimed that the incumbent government would go for 5 years. A 7-point agreement has been reached between the government and founder of National Innovation Centre, Mahabir Pun. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs, Purna Bahadur Kharka, and Mahabir Pun signed the agreement. Pun was staging a sit-in demanding the government to give priority to innovation and research in the country. Deputy Prime Minister and Pun held a meeting yesterday which remained positive. As per the agreement, the government would establish a fund to run research and innovation in an integrated manner. The fund would be utilized for operating research-oriented programs. According to the Secretariat of Deputy Prime Minister Khadka, a bill would be tabled and endorsed in the Federal Parliament for the operation and management of the fund. The government and Pune have agreed to make the draft of the bill within the next 60 days in consultation with concerned stakeholders. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda says an intense opposition is necessary to end the tendency of exploiting workers. In his address to the 8th National General Convention of All Nepal Federation of Trade Unions in Kathmandu yesterday, Prime Minister Dahal said neoliberalism introduced a new form of exploitation and suppression on workers' community and the mass. The head of the government stated that incumbent government has taken some significant decisions in favour of labourers and the people. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dahal has stressed the need for cooperation of private sector for country's development. Inaugurating the Maula Kalika cable car at Gaindakot in Nawalparasi yesterday, Prime Minister Dahal said the government would cooperate with the private sector to increase production and create employment opportunities. Rashtriya Swatantra Party President Rabi Lamichhane has been elected as the parliamentary party leader of the party. The meeting of the parliamentary party unanimously elected party president Lamichhane as its leader. Chief Whip of the Rashtriya Swatantra Party Santosh Pariyar informed that the meeting also picked leader Nisha Dangi as the whip of the party. He further said the joint meeting of the party's central committee and the parliamentary party scheduled on Friday would decide on whether to continue support given to the government. Vehicular movement has been obstructed at the border of Dhunibishi municipality and Thakre rural municipality in Thading district along the Prithvi highway after a moderate breeze over Ganesh Khola caved in yesterday afternoon. A part of the bridge towards Thuni Basi had collapsed earlier yesterday following continuous rain. Information officer of the district police office Thading, Santulal Prasad Jaiswal, said the one-way traffic was opened for some time. The vehicles had completely remained off the road from 4 p.m. after a large section of the bridge was damaged. Likewise, the traffic police has urged the motorists to drive along the Hedongra-Kathmandu and Kathmandu-Nuwakot Galchi Road section to avoid the obstruction. The Tatupani transit point at Nepal-China border in Sindhupalchok has come into full operation from yesterday. The transit point became formally operational since the 2015 Gorkha earthquake, corona pandemic and flood occurred in Photeko Sea River. Tatupani Custom Office Chief Dayananda Kesi said the 3 containers left for China yesterday morning from the transit point. The Nepalis and the Chinese officials in a meeting in Lhasa last month had agreed to bring the Tatupani transit point into full operation. The government continues efforts for safety and rescue of Nepalis in Sudan amidst a challenging security situation there. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the government is in regular contact with the Nepali citizens in the country in Northeast Africa, and the Nepali embassy in Cairo, Egypt continues to update about the situation and rescue as well. So far, 30 Nepali citizens, except those security personnel deputed for the UN peacekeeping missions there, are said to have come into contact with the embassy. As per the request of the embassy, the Saudi Arabia government cooperated to safely bring 90 Nepali from the Port Sudan to Jeddah of Saudi Arabia. The final match of the ACC Men's Premier League one-day cricket tournament was postponed yesterday due to rain. Host Nepal and the UAE were contesting for the title at the TU Cricket Ground in Kritipur when rain forced the match to be stopped and thereby postponed for 9 a.m. today. According to Cricket Association of Nepal, CAN, the match will resume today from where it was stopped yesterday. The match was stopped in 27.3 overs, with the UAE struggling at 106 for 9 wickets. Put to bat first after losing the toss, the UAE lost wickets at regular interval with only 1 wicket left and just 106 runs on the board. You're listening to Radio Nepal 8 AM English News Bulletin. We continue with international updates now. More than 20,000 Russian soldiers have been killed in fighting in Ukraine since December, the U.S. estimates. A further 80,000 have been wounded, National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby said, citing newly classified intelligence. Half of the data from a Wagner mercenary company who have been attacking the eastern Bakhmut city. Russia has been trying to take the small city since last year in a grinding war of attrition. Moscow currently holds most of Bakhmut, but Ukrainian troops are still control a small portion of the city in the west. The fierce battle has taken on huge symbolic importance for both sides. Nurses in England have walked out, affecting some critical services for the first time. According to the Al Jazeera, Monday's industrial action is the latest stoppage in an increasingly bitter dispute with the government over pay and conditions. The 28-hour strike comes after members of the Royal College of Nursing earlier this month voted to reject a 5% government pay increase offer. Earlier this month, British healthcare and ambulance workers belonging to GMB Trade Union and Unison voted to accept a government pay offer. Now the general weather forecast for the country for today. Forecasting division says the weather is likely to be partly to generally cloudy throughout the country. Light to moderate rain with thunder and lightning is likely to occur at some places of the hilly regions of the country and at a few places of the rest of the country. Kathmandu's weather report now. Maximum temperature of 18.2 degrees Celsius and minimum temperature of 14.2 degrees Celsius. With this news, we have come to the end of this bulletin, but before we wrap up the headlines once again. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda clarifies that decision on providing money to former combatants was decided 9 years back with approval of Nepali Congress and CP and UML. Rashtriya Swatantra Party nominates Rabi Lamichhane as party's parliamentary leader. Prithvi Highway obstructed after problems surfaced in a bridge along the highway. Tatopani transit point at Nepal-China border in Sindhupalchok comes into full operation. And US claims that more than 20,000 Russian soldiers have been killed in fighting in Ukraine since December. Well, that's all that we have for this edition. Our next English news edition is at 2 in the afternoon. You can also listen to us online at our website, www.radionepal.gov.np for more news and online programs. Stay tuned, stay safe, and have a good day.